In this particular video, we'll be focusing upon the chapter Coast, highlighting certain important definitions as well as certain features. First and foremost, what is the coast? The coast is that general area where the land and the sea interact, extending several meters further inland and also several meters out towards the direction of the sea. The coastline, on the other hand, is that demarcation between the land and the sea and can be easily observed from an aerial view, showing the distinction between both media. Swash refers to water which moves towards the land. Backwash refers to the recession of water from the land. The convergence of both swash and backwash mechanisms along the coast result in the formation of waves. However, it can also be influenced by wind energy, where mild or gentle winds produce gentle waves along the coast, while strong or gale force winds produce strong waves. Waves can also be influenced by tectonic activities such as explosive volcanic eruptions and subsequent earthquakes in the sea or oceans or near the coastal periphery, which can yield tsunamis, which are tectonic waves. Generally, when waves transition from deep water to shallow waters, their tops are thrown forward towards the direction of the land, possessing a curved characteristic typical of a breaking wave. The shore is a section along the coast which exists between high and low tidal levels. This varies since the tidal levels may fluctuate throughout the day. High tides are associated with a greater volume of water, as well as greater energy and hydraulic force or erosive potential, while low tides are associated with lower volume of water in relation to the land, as well as less energy and less hydraulic force, having a lower erosive potential. Both tides are influenced by the moon phase, which have a gravitational effect upon the earth. If you haven't already seen the videos on processes of erosion and processes of transport, be sure to visit the links that are in fact posted in the description. There are quite a number of features which exist along the coast. First and foremost, we like to talk about headlands. A headland is an elevated, steep-sided section of the land or rock which projects out towards the direction of the sea. Given the sharp transition of the land to the sea, the waves make contact with the rock structures with significant hydraulic force. So it is safe to say that headlands are shaped or sculpted by the action of waves, where over a period of time, the less resistant rocks of the land are stripped away.
Now behind me here is Speyside, and as you can see, this entire bay, this is a body of water or a bay, and it is in fact enclosed by two headlands. That is one headland there, and that is the other across there. As you can see how calm this body of water is. This is a relatively sheltered section of water.
From this diagram, you can observe from an aerial view that as the waves approach, they make contact with the resistant rock structures of the headlands that project outwards, and these waves become deflected, which allows them to somewhat change direction. This is regarded as wave refraction, and the overall energy dissipates, allowing the materials which are eroded from the sides of the headland to be transferred and eventually deposited further ashore. The beach, on the other hand, is that fine, unconsolidated materials which exist along the coast. A notch is an incision at the lower sections of the headland, influenced by wave activities, specifically erosion, at both high tides and low tides. High tides contribute to a deeper, more distinctive notch due to the greater volume of water in contact with the land, to which greater force is exerted upon the rocks. While at low tides, the notches are not as deep because there is less hydraulic force. Caves or sea caves are coastal subsurface features of erosion which exist at the base of headlands, created when a notch is further exploited by wave activities whereby a passageway or an opening develops. Arches are also features produced by wave erosion along the coast and most often develops when a cave or a section of a headland becomes increasingly eroded. Arches, unlike caves, allow visibility through a part of the headland where a distinctive curved overhead characteristic is formed, held by supporting legs or supporting rock structures. However, if they are compromised, the arch would eventually collapse. When an arch collapses, the remaining vertical rocks, which often had a supporting role, remains. These are known as stacks and are upright stands of rocks which project out to the water, being visible at both high and low tides. Stumps are shorter versions of stacks and are created when wave action disintegrates the sections of the stacks, especially at high tidal levels, where there are greater hydraulic force and volume of water in contact with the rocks. In many instances, stumps can generally be seen at low tidal levels. However, this is not always the case. In terms of a wave-cut platform, to better understand this feature and its development, we must first go back to the development of notches at the lower reaches of a headland. When notches become extremely pronounced, the overhead sections of the headlands or the cliffs can become severely compromised or unsupported, and fractures develop which contribute to weaknesses, thus allowing the cliffs to collapse. This results in the rubble to descend to the base of the headland. However, over time, the continuous swash and backwash contributes to disintegration of rocks into finer materials, which are redistributed along the coastal periphery from the base of the headland out towards the direction of the sea. This platform possesses a gentler slope. Before we jump into all the other features, we must first understand the concept of longshore current. Longshore current or longshore drift is a process whereby waves approach the land or coast at an angle, resulting in materials or sediments to be transferred from the high energy zone and eventually deposited along to the low energy zone. This process is very significant in the development of spits, tombolos, and sandbars. A spit is an elongated feature influenced by deposition of materials or sediments from the coast, which extends out towards the direction of the sea. The Palisados in Jamaica is a very distinctive example of a spit, which encloses the Kingston Harbor. A tombolo is created when a spit extends further outwards, but joins to an offshore island, creating a unified landform. Scott's Head Tombolo in Dominica is a very good example. A sandbar is also a depositional coastal feature, just like spit, just like tombolos. However, they are in fact influenced by longshore currents where heavier sediments are transferred to a particular location and eventually settles, creating a foundation for other sediments. Sandbars can also be influenced by swash and backwash mechanisms, since materials can accumulate at the junction or the neutral zone where both of them converge. These coastal features can be partially or sometimes fully submerged, nonetheless are typically found in areas of lower energy or lower wave activity and shallower waters. Apart from natural coastal features, we can also be man-made structures. Groins, for example, are man-made structures made up of heavy boulders, sometimes reinforced by metals that are aligned perpendicular to the shoreline, able to capture sediments transferred via longshore currents. The features are aimed to promoting beach development through deposition. Revetments are man-made structures which are made up of boulders and rocks and other reinforcing materials possessing a sloping characteristic from the shoreline which extends outwards towards the direction of the sea. This is aimed at reducing the rates of erosion along the coast. Breakwaters are structural formations which may develop along the shoreline in a parallel alignment to the coast or even further outwards towards the direction of the sea. Similar to that of groins and revetments, rocks and boulders are amongst the materials used in its construction. These are constructed to reduce the energy of the waves as they make their way towards the land. Seawalls are concrete structures which are constructed parallel to the shore, generally between the mainland and the beach. These structures are characteristically vertical, which offers a buffering capacity against the incoming swash and reduces the effects of wave erosion and also coastal flooding.